Welcome to the deep dive. We've got a really mind-bending one for you today.
Yeah, it's a big one.
Yeah, it really is. When you look back at the grand sweep of human history, it's actually remarkably single-minded. Like, for thousands of years, the human to-do list was basically just 3 items long.
Right.
Don't starve, don't die of a horrific plague, and try not to get wiped out by the neighboring tribe.
Yeah, famine, plague, and war.
Exactly. But over the last century or so, we've essentially beaten that main quest. I mean, we haven't totally eradicated suffering, obviously, but famine today is largely a political or supply chain failure, right? It's not an unavoidable act of nature anymore.
Yeah, that's a crucial distinction.
And plagues, they're sequenced in labs within weeks now. Okay, let's unpack this because it's kind of like humanity has spent millennia trying to beat the main storyline of a brutal video game. And we made massive progress. So now we're looking for the expansion pack. We want the cheat codes.
I love that analogy. And what's fascinating here is that the source material we're looking at today, which is Yuval Noah Harari's audiobook Homo Deus, it explores exactly this. Harari points out that for our entire existence, our scientific efforts were focused on just bringing humans back to a baseline of zero.
Right, like curing the sick.
Exactly. Feeding the hungry, stopping the bleeding, just getting back to zero. But now, the ambition is moving past zero. It's about taking a perfectly healthy human and pushing them into the positive extremes.
Wow.
Yeah, pursuing these 3 sort of godlike ambitions, which are immortality, boundless happiness, and superhuman abilities. Hence the title, Homo Deus, meaning human gods.
Human God, yeah, that's heavy. And the first item on that new, upgraded to-do list is overcoming death.
Right.
And not just increasing average life expectancy because fewer people die in infancy. We're talking about aggressively extending the maximum human lifespan, like pushing way past 100.
Yeah, and the mechanism behind this ambition, it requires a total philosophical rebrand of what death actually is. Because historically, death was accepted as this divine decree, right? Or just a fundamental law of physics. The Grim Reaper comes for everyone.
Right, it's just a fact of life.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But modern science is adopting a very different framework now. Death is increasingly viewed merely as a technical problem.
A technical problem.
Yes. It's a bug in the system, like a heart valve gives out or DNA fails to replicate perfectly, a blood vessel clogs.
Just mechanical failure.
Right, biological and mechanical failures.
Yeah.
And technical problems, theoretically anyway, have technical solutions.
Which means immortality isn't some mystical fountain of youth. It's a relentless series of engineering fixes, like nanobots clearing out arteries,
Yeah.
lab-grown replacement organs.
Right, genetic therapies.
Genetic therapies that stop cellular aging. But, I mean, let's look at the societal shockwaves of actually pulling that off. Because if we cure aging, we don't just get to live longer. We completely shatter the biological life cycle that basically every single human institution is built on.
Well, the structural implications are dizzying. I mean, take something as fundamental as marriage, for example.
Oh, boy.
Yeah, until death do us part carries a very different weight when your life expectancy is 250 years.
That is a long time.
Right. Are you really going to stay with the same person or stay in the exact same career for 2 centuries?
I mean, people have a hard time with 20 years, let alone 200.
Exactly. Or, look at economics and power structures.
Mm-hmm.
If a CEO or a political dictator doesn't age, when does the next generation take over?
Right.
You could end up with a civilization that's completely bottlenecked by this gerontocracy that just refuses to die and holds all the wealth.
And the wealth aspect is what really forces a reckoning here. Because up until now, death has been the ultimate equalizer. The richest emperors in history still died of gout or random infections.
Right.
But if life extension treatments are expensive, we aren't just talking about economic inequality anymore.
No, we're not.
We're talking about biological speciation. Like, the ultra-rich could literally buy an extra century of healthy life while everyone else continues to just expire at 80.
Yeah, it creates a literal biological divide.
Yeah.
But, even if we assume, just for the sake of argument, that this technology becomes super cheap and universally accessible,
Okay.
living forever actually introduces an immediate psychological crisis.
Right, because living to be 200 years old is practically a curse if your brain is still wired for ancient survival anxieties.
Yeah.
Like, what good is an extended lifespan if you spend 2 centuries feeling chronically stressed or just deeply unfulfilled?
Exactly. Which forces humanity to confront the second major ambition from the book, which is engineered happiness.
Oh.
Because the paradox of the modern world is that our objective circumstances have never been better. We've got climate-controlled homes, abundant calories, unprecedented physical safety.
Sure.
Yet, subjectively, our internal emotional experience hasn't really scaled with all that technological progress. Rates of depression and anxiety are still stubbornly high.
Well, yeah, because our evolutionary hardware wasn't designed to make us permanently happy.
No.
It was designed to keep us alive. A permanent state of bliss is biologically really dangerous if you're a hunter-gatherer.
Right, you get eaten.
Yeah, you just sit there. You need a spike of cortisol to run from a lion, and you need that hit of dopamine from eating berries to fade away quickly so you get motivated to go forage again tomorrow.
Right.
So we fixed the outside world, but our inside world is still running on an operating system optimized for the Pleistocene epoch.
Yes. And to solve that, the Homo Deus project suggests we actually have to stop trying to change our external circumstances and start tweaking the internal hardware directly. So we're moving toward a future where we don't just treat clinical depression to get someone back to a baseline of functioning.
Yeah.
We actively manipulate human biochemistry to engineer sustained, flawless emotional states.
Okay, I have to push back on this on behalf of anyone listening right now.
Yeah.
Because it sounds incredibly dystopian.
Sure.
So what does this all mean for the concept of real happiness? I mean, if future technology can just flip a biological switch, maybe through a neural implant or some advanced psychopharmacology, to just cure a broken heart or manufacture a feeling of deep, profound joy on demand, doesn't that completely cheapen the human experience?
That's a great question.
Like if I feel a profound sense of triumph because I spent months training to climb a mountain, that means something. If I feel that exact same triumph because I pressed a button on an app that stimulates my amygdala, it's just an illusion. It's fake.
Well, you call it an illusion, but let's look at the biochemical reality of what's happening there.
Nope.
A rush of serotonin and dopamine engineered by, say, a targeted nanoparticle. It's molecularly identical to the rush you get from reaching the summit of a mountain.
Yep, but...
To your brain, there is absolutely no difference. The neurons fire the exact same way, the synaptic receptors absorb the exact same chemicals. So from a strictly biological standpoint, who's to say one is real and one is fake?
But the context matters. The meaning comes from the struggle, the resistance, the friction of overcoming something difficult.
And that is the traditional humanist view, yes. We derive meaning from our suffering. But Harari challenges us to consider whether that's just a story we tell ourselves to cope with a biological system we couldn't previously control.
Oh, wow.
Right. Like we couldn't control it, so we made up a story that the suffering was noble. If you have the technology to bypass the struggle and go straight to the biochemical reward, a lot of people will choose the upgrade.
I mean, yeah, people definitely will.
But you're right to highlight the danger there. Because if we can engineer constant bliss, we do risk trapping ourselves in this biochemical matrix of our own design, completely disconnected from reality, because reality is no longer required for satisfaction.
That is wild.
Right.
And to achieve that level of precision, to rewrite our biological hardware so flawlessly, you need an incredibly detailed instruction manual for the human body and mind. You can't just go in and guess which neurons to stimulate.
No, absolutely not. Which requires a level of processing power that the human mind simply does not possess. And this is where Harari introduces the defining mechanism of our century.
Okay.
To engineer humanity, you need immense amounts of data and the algorithmic power to make sense of it.
It's like viewing the human endocrine system and our neurological pathways as an open API.
Yes.
For a long time, it was a closed system. We couldn't read the code, and we certainly couldn't write to it. But now we're building systems capable of mapping that code. And this leads us directly into this concept of hackable humans.
Exactly. And the math behind a hackable human is actually quite straightforward in Harari's framework. He posits this equation. It's biological knowledge multiplied by computing power multiplied by data equals the ability to hack humans.
B times C times D equals AHH.
Right. And historically, no one had all three of those things. I mean, the KGB or the Stasi, they might have had the computing power of the time and some data on you, but they lacked the biological knowledge to truly understand what was happening inside your brain.
But today, the convergence of biotechnology and information technology gives us all three of those variables. Let's break down how this data harvesting actually works in practice, because it's so much deeper than just algorithms tracking what we click on online.
Oh, way deeper.
We are moving into an era of continuous biometric surveillance. Think about the devices we wear right now. An algorithm can correlate the slight spike in your heart rate and the shift in your skin temperature from your smartwatch with the exact microsecond your smartphone's front-facing camera detects your pupils dilating while you read a specific headline.
Yeah, and when you scale that data collection across billions of users over years, the algorithm isn't just reacting to your conscious choices anymore. It is mathematically predicting your biological responses.
Right.
It can detect patterns in your physiology that indicate you're entering a depressive episode weeks before you consciously feel sad.
That's incredible.
Or it knows what specific combination of words and images will trigger your outrage, or bypass your critical thinking to elicit trust.
Right, here's where it gets really interesting. It's like a music streaming algorithm. You know how it knows your music tastes better than you do?
Oh yeah, mine definitely does.
Right, but scaled up to your entire physiological existence. It knows your fears and desires before you even register them consciously. Like, an algorithm knows that your cortisol levels spike every time you see a certain political candidate, and it knows exactly what kind of soothing or fear-mongering narrative stabilizes your heart rate. It literally knows you better than you know yourself.
It does.
We like to think we are these mysterious, unpredictable beings with total free will. But under this lens, we are just highly complex biochemical algorithms that can be deciphered and manipulated by superior non-biological algorithms.
And if we connect this to the bigger picture, this worldview, that everything boils down to data processing, is what Harari identifies as dataism.
Dataism.
Yes, dataism. It's essentially the emerging religion of the digital age.
Yeah.
Under dataism, the universe consists of data flows, and the value of any entity is determined strictly by its ability to process that data.
And that completely flips the hierarchy of the world. Because for thousands of years, humans were the undisputed apex of creation because we were the best data processors on Earth.
Right.
We invented language and markets and science and literature to process information and coordinate on these massive scales. A human brain was the most complex computer in the known universe.
But dataism suggests our time at the top is ending. And not because, robots are going to pick up laser rifles and start a war like in the movies.
Right.
But simply because non-biological algorithms can process vastly more data far more efficiently without the biological bottlenecks of fatigue or bias or emotion.
Which leads to a really profound structural shift in how society values a human life. Because capitalism, as an economic engine, it doesn't care about human beings intrinsically.
No, it doesn't.
It cares about humans because, historically, we were the only vehicles capable of providing two necessary things: intelligence and consciousness.
Yeah.
Like, you needed a conscious, intelligent human to diagnose a disease or write a legal brief or design a bridge. They came as a bundle package. You couldn't get one without the other.
And that decoupling of intelligence from consciousness is probably the most critical economic event of our time.
Yeah.
We are developing artificial intelligence that has absolutely zero consciousness. I mean, it doesn't feel pain, it doesn't have desires, it doesn't experience joy.
Nothing.
But it possesses staggering, highly specialized intelligence. And as it turns out, the economy doesn't actually need consciousness. It only needs intelligence.
Right, like if a non-conscious algorithm can analyze an MRI scan and detect early-stage cancer with a 99% accuracy rate by cross-referencing millions of other scans in seconds,
Yeah.
the hospital doesn't care that the algorithm didn't feel empathy for the patient.
No. The market prioritizes the accuracy.
Exactly. The intelligence is what creates the value. But where does that leave the human doctor?
And this is where we confront this concept of the useless class. And we do need to be precise with this term because it's deliberately provocative. Harari isn't just talking about the frictional unemployment we saw during the Industrial Revolution, where a weaver lost their job to a power loom, but eventually found work driving a tractor or managing a factory.
Right, because during the Industrial Revolution, machines only replaced human physical strength.
Yeah.
So we could just retreat to our cognitive abilities. But if AI outperforms us in cognitive and analytical labor, and eventually even in creative labor, as we're already starting to see, there's no higher ground to retreat to.
Exactly the point. The useless class refers to a massive demographic of people who become structurally and economically irrelevant. If algorithms and automation can handle the logistics, the medical diagnoses, the financial modeling, the coding, millions of people won't just be unemployed, they will be unemployable.
Unemployable.
Yes, their biological processing power simply cannot compete in the marketplace.
But wait, I want to reassure the listener here because anyone listening right now might be having an existential crisis about their career.
Sure.
It's important to remember from the source material that these are speculative scenarios, right? They're thought experiments, not guaranteed predictions of tomorrow.
Yes, exactly. Harari is using dramatic terms like useless class to force us to think critically. But this raises an important question about how governments and societies must ethically manage this transition, because possessing this biological data creates enormous power.
Yeah, so how does a civilization function when human labor is no longer the fundamental engine of the economy?
It's a huge question.
For centuries, political power was deeply tied to the working class because the elite needed them. You can't run an empire if the peasants refuse to harvest the wheat.
Right.
And you can't run a corporation if the workers strike. But if the elite rely on automated algorithms and autonomous systems instead of human labor, the masses just lose their primary leverage.
The leverage shifts entirely to whoever controls the data. I mean, in the agrarian age, power belonged to those who own the land. In the industrial age, it belonged to those who own the factories. In the 21st century, the most valuable resource on the planet is biometric and behavioral data.
Wow.
The entities that possess the biological data of the masses and the algorithms to process it will hold a level of absolute power that makes historical dictators look powerless.
Because they won't need to control you with secret police or physical violence. They'll control you by curating your environment so seamlessly that you feel like you're making your own choices. If you want to understand the future of privacy, it's no longer just about hiding your credit card number or your search history. It's about protecting the data flow of your internal biological state.
And this brings us to the ultimate consequence of these technological leaps. We are standing at the precipice of the most significant evolutionary event since life began on Earth.
Think about that.
For 4 billion years, life evolved through the slow, blind, random process of natural selection. It was totally organic and unguided.
But by mastering biotechnology, genetics, and AI, humanity is effectively ending the era of natural selection, and we're replacing it with evolution by intelligent design.
Yes.
And the designers aren't in the clouds, they're sitting in laboratories in Silicon Valley and Shenzhen. We are taking the reins of our own biology. We're attempting to redesign our DNA, upgrade our cognitive limits, and rewrite our emotional baselines. We are trying to engineer Homo sapiens out of existence to make room for Homo Deus.
But the critical takeaway from Harari's exploration is that this trajectory is a map of possibilities, not a prophecy. The technology itself is deterministic, but how we integrate it into our lives is not. The tools to have humanity are being built right now, but the rules governing who gets to use them and for what purpose, those are still being written.
And that is where your agency comes in, to the person listening to this right now. We spend so much time debating whether technology is inherently good or evil, but we often miss the subtle, everyday ways we're surrendering our biological autonomy.
Yeah.
Every time you blindly accept a 50-page terms of service agreement, or every time you let a predictive algorithm dictate the media you consume, you are participating in this exact evolutionary shift. You are feeding the data stream.
You really are.
So the mission of our era isn't just about curing the next disease. It's about learning how to master these tools before they permanently master us.
The philosophical questions are vastly more urgent than the engineering ones at this point. We know the upgrades are coming. But it begs a final question regarding human identity, and it's something I want everyone to mull over.
Yeah, leave us with something to think about.
If we slowly replace our biological flaws with technological upgrades, if we edit out our genetic diseases, implant cognitive boosters to enhance our memory, and rely on chemical nanobots to stabilize our moods, at what exact point in that incremental process do we cross the line from being Homo sapiens to Homo Deus? Are we still human? Or will we engineer away our humanity piece by piece, becoming gods without ever even realizing the exact moment it happened?